Well, but listen, a fantastic news.
Go, James!
Thank you, everybody, for being here and standing with Julian Assange today. He has not been freed, but as John just said, there is more time. And today is a defeat for the US. Today is a defeat for the crimes that they want to cover up, that Julian Assange and WikiLeaks have revealed. Today provides an opportunity for the growing mutiny against the rule of US empire in the US, in the UK, and right around the world to continue to both grow and to unite, to link arms together.
Yes.
That's what we are seeing in the university encampments in the US, just down the road at the LSE, at SOAS, and around the country. That's what we see in the millions of people protesting against the crimes of empire around the world. Because all of these causes are all connected and are all linked. Julian Assange's case is not only about him. He should be freed as a human being and to live as a human being with his family. But they aren't attacking him because he's a human being. They are attacking him because of what he has told us. And that weapon, that knowledge, they can't put that milk back in the bottle. Everybody standing here today knows about the world system and how it operates, and that's why you all stand, that's why we all stand with Julian Assange for freedom of the press, yes, but even more importantly, for freedom and sovereignty for all people around the world who have suffered for far too long the oppression which Julian is facing so painfully in there, but millions, if not billions, of people around the world face. So, now we have a little more time. There will be more court dates and more appeal. So I say to you, please, come back, be louder, be stronger, because this is, as John said, this is a political trial. Yes, there are fine arguments of law that are made in that court, but ultimately it comes down to power and to pressure. So every small act that you are doing here, that you will do tomorrow, that you will do the day after, and so on, to free Julian and to stand up for a better world based on freedom, dignity and justice for all, that is important. And so I say, free Assange, and thank you very much.
And the British court said, we don't believe you. Now I'm very proud to welcome another guest to speak to you today. My union, the National Union of Journalists, is a member of the International Federation of Journalists, and Dominique Pradlier is the president of the International Federation of Journalists, who've given their wholehearted support to Julian Assange. I'd like to welcome her to the platform.
Today is a victory, but part of a victory only. It's a big victory for all people, for freedom of the press, for whistleblowers, from journalists of all around the world. As International Federation President, on behalf of the about 600,000 journalists around the world, we want to say we are happy today to see that Julian Assange can plead. He can plead, he can be a journalist and explaining what happened and saying to the whole world, I was doing just my job as a journalist. Now it's part victory because he is still in jail, and it's a real shock for everybody that he has to remain in jail as he only did his job. Today we are, as for years and years, supporting him, supporting press freedom. You know what? Press freedom is not for journalists, it's for everybody to know the truth. And it is exactly what Julian Assange meant by WikiLeaks, by saying all the things he said, by revealing dirty little things governments want to hide to citizens. And thank you to him, because he endured so much, and still to do it. And on behalf of this international federation who has been fighting each and everywhere, who has been demonstrating each and everywhere for his freedom, saying he only did his job for citizens. On behalf of that, I thank the court today, even if it lasted a long time to win this victory. I thank and I wait for them to go out, so I wait for Stella, John, and everybody to go out now.
Okay, thank you once again for being here. There have been some hard days outside the courts during the course of this campaign, but this is a better day than we've had at any time since the magistrate first stopped the extradition. So, just to report to you about what's been happening inside the court, about what the significance of it is, about what we'd like people to be doing going forward. I'm going to call a number of speakers who've been in there. First of all, somebody who's been right at the heart of this, has been a relentless campaigner for Julian Assange, the editor-in-chief of WikiLeaks, Kristen Harpinson.
Thank you so much for coming here today. It's because of people like you that we're finally seeing a glimpse of justice. The sun doesn't shine all that much in London, but today a glimpse, a sun ray of justice. Finally we saw it. And it will mark a path to victory. We said, of course, it shouldn't have taken more than 5 minutes in this courtroom for the judges to see that the United States government was not going to give Julian any assurances, and they would discriminate against him. They would not give him First Amendment protection. It took a couple of hours, but the judges did came to the just and the right conclusion. Julian Assange has now the right to appeal. And that in itself should send the right message across the sea to the Biden administration. Look there, you're on a losing ground. You're losing this case. If you want to save any form of face, drop the case against Julian Assange. Drop it right now. It is the only decision that can save face in the US. And of course it will save the future of journalism, which is put at risk in this case. So join me in the call across the sea. Let it be heard. You are losing. Drop the case.
Reporters Without Borders. She's been campaigning all the way through this. Her organisation has thrown their weight into campaigning for Julian Assange. She's been in court on every previous hearing and today. Please give Rebecca Vincent a very warm welcome.
So this is very good news, and let's take it because we've been waiting a long time for any good news in this case. This is a victory. This means that the issues at the very heart of this case, freedom of expression, press freedom, will get consideration by these courts. It's been far too long to get to this point, but it is so important. Of course, this remains a political case. We have this hope that the UK courts will prevent extradition, and that, after today, is still very much possible. But we hope, across the ocean, that there are some very uncomfortable people in Washington, D.C. looking at London today and thinking very hard about where to go next, because this does not have to play its way through the courts. We do not have to continue to do this month after month. President Biden could make his legacy to be the president who stops this now, who doesn't let it go any further. Julian Assange should not be in prison in the UK, in the US, anywhere for a single day more. We should mention that he wasn't well enough to come to court today. That is very worrying. So let's not lose sight of what's happening to him himself. So I hope that this crowd here today, that the attention that the world will pay to this really important decision this morning, that they'll also not lose sight of where Julian Assange is, which is in a high security UK prison where he's been for more than 5 years for publishing information in the public interest. That is unacceptable. So we hope to see you back outside this court. As soon as this hearing is called, we will be here. We will continue to follow this case closely. It is one of our top priorities because of the dangerous implications it has for journalism and press freedom around the world. We will keep up the campaign to free Assange.
Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Free Julian Assange! Country. But that work pales into insignificance in my view compared to the work he's done for the ordinary people of this country and to sustain press freedom in his reporting and his work for the Assange campaign. Please welcome Craig Murray.
Everyone, a few hours ago I told you today was going to be a good day, and today has been an excellent day. We haven't got Julian out just yet, but we are on the way to getting Julian out. We are on the way to victory in this battle. The court granted leave to appeal on 2 grounds today. Leave to appeal on grounds of discrimination by nationality and leave to appeal on the grounds of freedom of expression. And we are seeing at last an acknowledgement of the crucial importance of freedom of speech, freedom of information and of the public's right to know. And those are the grounds on which we will win this case. It's been a hell of a struggle. It's been a long, long struggle. I see people standing here who I met 12, 14 years ago, standing in the pouring rain outside the Ecuadorian embassy. We've grown a bit older together. I don't know about you, but I've got better looking. And we are still going, and we are going on. And we were fighting what seemed like a losing battle. We were fighting against the odds, but we have turned round public opinion. We have turned round legal opinion. We are turning the world for the better, and we are going forward to free Julian Assange. Thank you.
This has been a long, hard fight, and it's not over yet. But I know someone who's been in the first rank of that from the beginning, has been there at every major battle, has thrown himself right into the forefront of this fight on 3 continents. Please welcome Julian Assange's father, John Shipton.
You guys picked a winner. I reckon stands on your shoulders of the people and the supporters worldwide who have unflaggingly, some people here I've known longer than I've known my daughter's life, you know. And, they've been outside the embassy and with us all the while. Now, when I say with us, it's to be clear, when I say with us, to be clear, to be really clear, this small victory, part of a trend, and that trend is this. 84 members of the Australian Parliament, 2/3 of the Australian Parliament passed a motion to request the United States to drop the charges. A delegation of Australian parliamentarians, 6 of them went to the United States with Gabrielle. The Prime Minister of Australia has raised the matter 4 times. President Biden, outside the Rose Garden, answered a question from a journalist saying, that the Australian government has made representations to us on this matter. This only happens with politicians in the circumstances that face us today, that surround us today, if there is a mass movement of interrelated people within institutions, outside of institutions, family groups, and groups like this here today, all over the world, constantly working to reverse what the heart sees and knows is an injustice and bring about a bit of justice. Just my last comment. We had a meeting with President Obrador of Mexico. He's a man of about my age, maybe a bit younger, lucky fella. And he said, in all his life working in politics, 50 years, he found that ordinary people everywhere hungered for justice and revulsed at the sight of injustice. And I hold that to be true here today. Thanks and congratulations.
States. The last speaker to talk to you today has done more than any other single individual in more difficult circumstances than any other single individual to make sure that the case of Julian Assange is won and that the freedom of the press is defended. Please welcome Saleh Assange.
Thank you. I want to be very clear. Today marks a turning point. We went into court and we sat and heard the United States fumbling through their arguments, trying to paint lipstick on a pig. Well, the judges were not convinced. Everyone can see what's going on here. The United States case is offensive. It offends our democratic principles. It offends our right to know. It is an attack on journalists everywhere. We are relieved as a family that the courts took the right decision today. But how long can this go on for? Our eldest son just turned 7. All their memories of their father are in the visiting hall of Belmarsh Prison. Shame! And as the case goes along, it becomes clearer and clearer to everyone that Julian is in prison for doing good journalism. For exposing corruption, for exposing the violations on innocent people in abusive wars, for which there is impunity. And on top of that impunity, they've gone after the man who put that impunity onto the public record. The Biden administration should distance itself from this shameful prosecution. It should have done so from day one. But it may be running out of time to do the right thing. Everyone can see what should be done here. Julian must be freed. The case should be abandoned. He should be compensated. He should be given the Nobel Prize. And he should walk freely with the sand beneath his feet. He should be able to swim in the sea again. Free Assange. Free us all.
Okay, folks, I don't know what else I can say to you except see you in the pub. Craig Murray and I are definitely going for a drink. I hope you'll join us. But when you've had the drink and we've had today's celebration, do remember, we've won a battle, but we haven't won the war. And you must take from today's victory the confidence that even the biggest imperial power in the world can be defeated. It can be defeated if ordinary people like you stay mobilised. Remember what Big Bill Haywood, the union organiser from the United States, said: one finger can be broken by your opponents, but a fist can never be broken. Stay strong, stay strong, free Assange, stand up for a free press.
My name's James Schneider, I'm from the Progressive International, and in today's hearing, Julian Assange won the right to appeal his extradition, again in a British court, which means that he will not be sent now without having another hearing in a British court to the US to face what would be in effect a death penalty. Now it's really important to break down what is going on and why someone who has not actually been charged with anything in a British court has been held in a maximum security prison for 5 years and why he is wanted in the US. Julian Assange was the publisher of WikiLeaks that revealed a huge litany of crimes committed by the United States in the war on terror in Iraq, in Afghanistan and beyond, as well as a whole host of corporate crimes and also crimes of states other than the US. So he has been persecuted by the US since he first made those journalistic revelations now nearly 15 years ago, in order to shut him up, but also to silence and frighten other would-be journalists who are willing to stand up for their profession and also for truth and freedom of us to know what our governments carry out in our name. So at the previous hearing almost 2 months ago, the judges ruled that there were two potential grounds that the US had not given sufficient assurances about, which was that he, Julian Assange, could face the death penalty rather than just 175 years in prison, and whether or not he could rely on the First Amendment rights to free speech in the US as a non-US citizen. Now the US came back with their assurances, and these assurances anyway are not worth the paper they're written on, because this is a state that's plotted to assassinate Julian Assange. You know, if someone had tried to kill you, you probably wouldn't listen to their promises about how they're going to treat you afterwards. But nevertheless, they were brought to court and they gave a complete assurance on the death penalty and not one on the right to use the First Amendment. So it was ruled today that on those grounds that he can have another case in a British court where he will be able to defend himself against extradition to the US. The next legal step will be the appeal and how that goes along, but it's wrong to think of this as really just a legal question. This is a political persecution and it's a political trial. So the campaign really matters. And this is not just a campaign for the freedom of one man. It's not even just a campaign for our right to know and live in a democratic society. This is a campaign against the crimes of empire. That is why Julian Assange is on trial. So all of the efforts to stand up against imperialism, to stand up against the crimes that are being committed of empire, are all part of the same struggle, which Assange is at the tip of the spear of, but it involves many, many more of us.